Hello there. What's going on, everyone? Today we're going to be building a list for the Separatists in Ryan Kingston's Fleet Builder. I kind of want to go over some build ideas as far as a pretty, kind of a red dice heavy type of list. And of course, Ryan Kingston's Fleet Builder, I will link that in the description below. It is fully updated for the 4 different factions now. If you donate to them, you'll be able to save your fleets, and of course I've got a couple in here, and but I'm gonna come down here and click on new Separatist fleet, and I've had a little bit of success with building some fleets here lately. I kind of like the Separatists a little bit more than the Republic right now. But I'll probably be doing a starter Republic build as well. Now this is going to be a build if you picked up 2 core sets and the squadron pack is going to be things that are required for here. Plus, I believe the upgrade card pack, unless you have an existing collection already. So that's kind of the stuff that I'm using. Kind of a lot of the stuff from my, what I think you should get. Probably 2 cores, 1 upgrade pack, and 1 squadron pack to start is what I think is generally a pretty good option. Of course, there's ways to kind of do this if you just have the 2 cores. But here's what I'm starting off with. So I'm going to run a Munificent as my flagship, but I want to have a bunch of Hardcells in here because they have a lot of red dice, and while I'd like to normally run Architans running kind of conga line around my fleet doing broadsides at them, here is a ship that I'm going to have to fly a little differently, straight on, dead at you. And I think that's going to require a little bit of a different flying. But we're going to run the Munificent as the flagship, because this one can do either. It can go straight on dead at you, or it can also run sideways around you. And I think it'll probably do a little bit of both, trying to set up that double arc, which I think will be a very, very nice thing. One of the things that I'm going to run here is I'm going to run Kraken. I think with a lot of ships, I'm going to have a much easier time potentially being able to trigger him. As much as I do like Dooku, you may have seen in my most recent Armada battle report that Dooku is, or at least the next battle report that's coming out, depending on when you're watching this. Count Dooku is very nice and has the potential to do some great things, but I like Kraken for this list because we're going to need some dice fixing, because we're not going to have a lot of dice fixing, and he's going to give us a little bit of that. For our dice fixing shenanigans on this Munificent, we're going to run the heavy ion emplacements. This one is going to give us that blue crit that will exhaust to do damage or drain shields from adjacent hull zones as well as the target hull zone. Just a great card overall. However, we can only trigger that from the front arc. So we're going to kind of want to fly directly at everybody else, but that's going to be kind of in sync with everything else that we're doing. Now, it's fine that we only have blue dice on 1 arc here, because we can only trigger this one once anyway. Now, if we don't roll the blue crit, we have Kraken to try to manufacture the blue crit. So, I think it's going to work out perfectly if everything does work out perfect. If everything's perfect, then it'll work perfectly. You see what I did there? Now, for a little bit of other dice fixing, we're going to run Linked Turbo Laser Towers. I think this is an upgrade that's going to be stapled to almost every Munificent build, primarily because of all the red dice that it has, plus the red anti-squadron dice. It really gives you some nice anti-squadron punch to go along with this ship. And it works in basically in all situations, so it's just a great card to have. Since the ship is so slow, I want to give it engine techs, to give it the ability to kind of stay with the rest of the fleet, since the Hardcells can go a little bit faster, but also just to help it maneuver a little bit more and make up for some of its weaknesses. This isn't something I might use all the time, but it's something that I'll probably use at key points in the game. Since this is my flagship, I'm going to go revert to the classic, the electronic countermeasures. I only have the 1 brace, and while I do have a lot of shields in the front, I'm afraid of losing them all in one shot, so we are going to definitely try to make sure we can do that 1 brace. For my officers, as much as I'm tempted to go with Wat Tambor, I'm going to go with Rune Hako to give myself some tokens to help trigger things like engine techs or whatever else I might need. For like engineering, for example. Also, he's a little bit cheaper, and it turns out I'm going to be using all 400 points in this build. Now we're going to get into the Hardcells. The first 3 Hardcells that I'm going to be adding. Again, I'm going more than 2. So again, this is it's going to require 2 core sets. Are going to be the Hardcell class battle refit. This one is basically your 3 red dice in the front plus the red dice on the sides. There's a lot of things you can do here. I love putting spinal armament on these guys. The first version of this build had Spinal Armament on the hard cells. You're going to find Spinal Armament in the upgrade card collection. You're going to find 2 copies of it there. So you can run maybe your first 2 with Spinal, but I ended up reducing that for a points reason. And also, I think the idea here is while they can go very fast, I don't think I want them to go very fast. The more I think about it, I want these guys to go very, very slow. I want to be able to get you in long range and maybe keep you in long range for as long as I can. Or at least at medium range. The reason being is that means you're going to shoot me back with as few dice as possible. I've got a pretty good, pretty good amount of red dice here, and so that means at long range I'm actually a pretty significant threat. Plus I have an evade, which is going to do great things at long range, and a brace and a redirect, and with my three shields in the front, I feel like this is a pretty survivable ship at long range. It's a lot of the same arguments I would make about the Nebulon. Except for that this front arc is a little bit wider. That's kind of pretty nice front arc on it, just a little bit. So it can get that, but also I've got the double arc capability if I can manage that, and if I did something like swivel mount batteries, which is not a bad option here for 8 points, that could give me 4 red dice out of the front, but then I wouldn't be able to shoot out of the side. So Spinal Armament, while it's a little bit more expensive, kind of gets the same thing. So I really don't like swivel mounts here. I like Spinal better because Spinal also gives you that rear shot. Of course, if your opponent's in your rear, you probably have done something wrong. So that's not necessarily the best option. I think they're going to probably try and do that. So I'm reverting to quad battery turrets for a number of reasons. First off, it's so much less expensive. It's only 5 points, and that means you can do a lot more things. I can fit more upgrades into this list, and it's something that'll also enable me to have a little bit of a squadron presence by not eating up all of my points on Spinal Armament. This does mean, however, that if my opponent somehow gets around me, that I'm going to pay the price for that. However, if they're going to get around me, that means they're going to have to be going pretty fast, and thus they'll probably be going faster than me, and thus I will be able to keep triggering quad battery turrets. The other thing that's great about this particular card is it doesn't require an exhaust. So if I am able to actually double arc somebody, or even only the side arc, I'm also going to get the blue die on that. So if I can double arc, I can actually get 2 blue dice at long range with this card. So it's potentially going to work really good, and it's insurance to say, no, slow down, stay in that front arc so we can keep getting you. I'm going to run not 1, not 2, but 3 of these Hardcell Battlefits with quad battery turrets. That's the only thing I'm running on them. I'm not even running any of the titles on these particular guys. I am just wanting them to do some crazy stuff. Now, I'm going to have one more that's going to lead the charge, and this is going to be the Hardcell class transport. This one is going to be the one that goes in first, and his whole job here is to be a little bit cheaper, to hopefully survive, go in first, and also to survive a little bit longer with. I'm going to put one title on him, and that's going to be Foreman's Labor. Now, this is a support ship. I could certainly run some kind of fleet support, but I'm not going to do that. There's not a whole lot I need. I mean, like I could think about something like Slicer Tools or CommsNet to hand out tokens, but this is a fleet that doesn't really need a whole lot of tokens. We've got a little bit of token generation on Rune Hako for engine techs and engineering, for maybe getting ECM back and stuff like that. But we've got enough built-in token, generation on the flagship. So I don't feel like we really need any more token generation for this fleet. The hard cells probably will do maybe a nav first turn. They probably want to start out at speed 2 at least, maybe speed 3. If they do speed 3, you probably do 2 turns of nav to kind of slow down because they'd like to be at speed 1. And probably also have a nav token just in case. But I think they're going to probably be doing concentrate fire for the remainder of that time because they're going to want to really maximize those long-range attacks when it's time to shoot. This guy, on the other hand, wants to get close enough to trigger Kraken. And Foreman's Labor is going to be some additional damage reduction that will stack with his defense tokens to just help him stay alive a little bit longer, such that Kraken is going to trigger. This is the Sacrificial Lamb. This is the one that I want you to kill, but I want him to get close enough too. And by the time he dies, hopefully one of these other hard cells is now close enough to continue to trigger Kraken. Because basically, Kraken's going to say once per activation while a friendly ship is attacking a ship, if another friendly ship is at close or medium range of the defender, the attacker may change 1 die to a face with any 1 icon and no other icons. So we want somebody to be in front, and I want them to have a little bit of extra survivability, and that's going to be Foreman's Labor. It's the cheapest ship, and it's going to have the best survival. I mean, now granted, it turns out to be exactly the same price as another Hardcell battle refit if you take the title out, but I wanted it to be more survivable. And so this way it is more survivable than all those other ships. So that much is kind of the ship presence. Now this is 5 ships. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're probably going to be giving your opponent a pass token. But then again, you also might be second player and thus removing their pass token. Now we do have some points left over. We're going to add some squadrons. I usually chimp out on squadrons. Chimp out? Is that even a word? I don't think that's the word. Scrimp out or cheap out? I don't know. Sometimes I just take 2 different words and mash them together. Usually I go very, very light on squadrons. This one will be still pretty light, but not as light as I normally go. I'm actually going to run 4 squadrons. I'm going to run 1 Belabelub, and I like the Belabelub because they don't require to be activated by a squadron to still be good against enemy squadrons. So if we do have bombers and stuff coming up against us, the 2 blue and 2 black is going to do very, very well. And relay gives me a little bit of flexibility here. But I don't want too many of those because then screen becomes useless. So what I do want to add is some regular vulture droids, and that is going to give me the ability to do a little bit of squadron command activation. Vulture droids do very, very well against anti-squadrons, and that's really all I want them for, is to slow down the squadron presence, to buy me enough time to kill their carriers and kill their flagship. And I think with 4 squadrons, that gives me some deployments. That also gives me a little bit of stalling time. And the Belabelub is going to do pretty nicely that way, give me some flexibility. I can even have all of my ships take a squadron command and bank that token first turn if they're going to need that as well. It's kind of a toss-up whether the Hardcells want to bank a nav token or a squadron token. I think maybe one of each, but not too early because they're command 1. They can only bank 1. The Munificent, however, will probably want to bank 1 of each and have those on standby for whenever it is needed. That's going to do it for the build. We're also going to add some objectives here. Since I have so many ships, I am going to revert to one of the favorites of mine, and that's going to be opening salvo. I think a lot of early clone fleets that you might find are probably going to be running only 3 or 4 squadrons. I'm sorry, ships. I don't think you'll find too many that are running 6 or more. And so opening salvo is going to give you, going to give you a nice little advantage there. Plus, it will give you the option to choose those dice. So in case you only end up having a long range shot on somebody, you can add a blue with this one and kind of get that blue crit if you want. So I like the choice that it's giving you. So that one is fun. For our yellow, I really like fire lanes here because I do have so many dice at red dice range. It also lets me kind of dictate where the battle is going to take place, and if I know where my opponent wants to go, it lets me kind of orient my Hardcells a lot easier. It gives me a much better chance of kind of pointing them because they need to be pointed at the enemy fleet, and fire lanes kind of tells you where the enemy fleet has to go and makes it a lot easier to point your ships at the enemy fleet. And then lastly, we've got the 2, look, if I want to be pointed at you, I want you to deploy first. So I'm thinking Solar Corona or Superior Positions, but in this case, Superior Positions is going to hurt me because I don't really have a whole lot of ways of getting behind you. So Solar Corona is going to be the smarter choice here. And that's what we're going to go with. And that is the build. Let me know what you guys think down in the description below. I've also got a giveaway winner to announce. We are doing the 12 days of Life Day, and here we go. Let's see if we got our print. Oh, there we go. That's like kind of a little print of it, but yeah, we've got our Life Day giveaway. Today's winner is going to win a Crabbok coin, one of those luxury playstyle custom Crabbok lightsaber nunchucks coins, and that's going to be Matthew Harris. Thank you for subscribing, Matthew. Go ahead and shoot me an email. You'll find that on the back end of my channel, and I'll get your details, and we'll get that squared away for you. If you're interested in winning any of the other giveaways that we're doing, you just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Big thanks to my patrons as well. If you're interested in becoming a patron, check out the links in the video description below. There's links for that. There's also links for the Teespring store if you're interested in getting any shirts, masks, or anything else like that to help support the channel. I want to thank you all so much, and as always, have a great day.